In today's devlog, we have a brand new Goofy Goblin enemy that chases you down with a meat club, and two brand new moves added to the player's toolbox. A move to dodge the Goofy Goblin's meaty attack, and a move to charge up for the ultimate dash attack to destroy anything in your way. If you're new here, I'm making a 2D action platformer style game called Papercuts. The main mechanic is that you can freely slice anything in this world, in whatever way or shape that you want. It's gonna have a massive world to explore, crazy background stories, and fun puzzles to solve. Anyways, let's start with a new enemy in the block, the Goofy Goblin. I received so many enemy suggestions in my videos. For example, someone suggested a bird that can dive down to kill you, or even a giant that can squash you down into a flat piece of paper. And someone else suggested a boss that can be cut up into many little pieces, and then you have to fight them individually. But before I get to all that, I can't miss classic enemies like the Goblin. These guys are a low-level and low-intelligence species that can usually be found in the forest or in the grass biome. They like to gather in small groups to hunt, or just to protect certain areas in a dungeon. Let's talk about the design of the Goofy Goblin. I'm still quite new to pixel art, and I'm still trying to find a consistent art style for the game, so I drew two versions of Goofy Goblin. The first version has a very muscular and scary look, while my second version is a slimmer style but with long skinny legs. While the first version looks really badass, I did prefer the smaller version because it matches my current art style a little more. The big one just looks a little too strong to be a starter enemy, and looks more like a mini boss to me instead. Since the Goofy Goblin will be a very common starter creep enemy that you can find pretty much everywhere, I don't really want to make him too scary or powerful. Now, you might be wondering, what the heck is this Goofy Goblin guy holding in his hand? Well, he holds a meat club for his weapon. I found this to be quite funny, and at the same time, it makes them feel savage, but still resourceful enough to use what they have in their hands as weapons. They're basically not smart enough to make their own swords and spears, but enough to grab what's nearby to use as weapons. Now that we know what the Goofy Goblin looks like, it was time to add in his animations. He has an idle animation where he just bobs up and down like most other games, and a wandering animation where he walks slowly to patrol his area. And then he has a pursuit animation where he charges towards his prey. And then finally, an attack animation where he smacks his meat down. For this one, I've drawn in a couple of anticipation frames so that the player can see he's about to smack down and can get ready to dodge. And because of these anticipation or frozen frames, it hints to you that if you get hit, it's gonna hurt. His basic behavior is that by default, he just walks around aimlessly. They're basically a lights on but nobody's home type of creature. But if he reaches a cliff, he'll stop and sort of rethinks his life purpose, and hopefully he turns around. Now, if he sees you, he will switch to an angry mode and charges towards you with his meat stick in the air ready for an attack. How it works is that I have a ray cast that comes straight out of his little head to check if it can detect the player with no obstructions. If it can, then this means it's time to charge. And then if the player is right in front of him, he won't hesitate to swing his meat stick down for a clean smack. If he smacks you successfully, there's a nice meaty wet smack sound effect that I made with my own voice using Audacity. This is the first time I created my own sound effect. I just record my own voice making a sound, and then played around with the pitch in Audacity, and here we have it, a nice wet sound. And when you get hit, it will also knock you back a couple of steps to really sell the impact of his meat attack. Alright, enough talk about his meat. To kill them is quite simple. You can either hit them directly from the front if you aren't scared of them, or if you hit them from behind, they will turn around for a counter attack. They have 2 full hearts of health, meaning it would take you 4 regular hits to kill them because each hit only does half the damage. A fun little detail that I've added is that when they get hit, they also get knocked back by the player. And then on your very last hit, it will slice them open to show that they have been killed and won't be getting back up to annoy you again. Again, I've used Audacity to create his dying sound effect with my voice. I think it sounds pretty funny. Now, let's talk about a new move that I've added to the player. I found the interaction with the Goofy Goblin was a little boring. It's like the Goblin and the player were just taking turns smacking each other until someone dies. There just wasn't enough engagement between these two characters in combat. To help fix this, I've had a look at how other games make their combat system more interesting, and what stood out to me was a game I used to play every day back in high school. It's called Vindictus. Comment down below if you know this game. It's kind of like Elden Ring, where you have to really learn and time your enemy attacks to dodge them, rather than just spamming attack until they die. So the new move I've added to the player is Backstep. When you trigger the backstep, you literally jump back a couple of steps. Doing this makes you invulnerable for about 0.3 seconds, giving you a chance to dodge any attack if you time it just right. This adds a new layer to the gameplay. Instead of just spamming the attack button, now it's all about timing and evading enemy attacks, and at the same time, finding their weak spots and openings to slice them up. But even after all that, killing the Goofy Goblin enemy feels the same every single time. I wanted something more, some sort of ult that allows you to finish them off in one single hit if I wanted to. After all, the player should be much stronger than this Goofy Goblin guy. Oh, by the way, if you want to keep up with my game and see more devlogs, please give this video a like and a subscribe. It would mean so much to me. Thank you. Back to the video. Big thanks to King K 2009 for their suggestion. I've now also upgraded the player's dash attack. Now, instead of dashing instantly, you can charge it up for something even more powerful. While you're charging up, there are these really cool Dragon Ball Z style particle effects. The camera shakes violently and a tense sound effect to sell the idea that you're really charging up your power. So if you just quickly tap the button without charging up, the dash attack is simple, weak, and doesn't really cover much distance. But if you allow it to charge up for a couple seconds, you can pretty much guarantee to kill the Goofy Goblin in one single blow, wiping 2 full hearts and covering a greater distance. So you can also use this move to jump across walls that are really far apart. This charge-up dash attack is inspired by Zoro from One Piece, when he gets ready and channels his energy for a sword attack. I find that super cool and satisfying to charge and destroy anything in my way. What's awesome is that if you do your charge up while you're in mid-air, you fall down much slower, giving you time to do some cool air tricks if you want. I think this will come in quite handy when I start to add flying enemies to the game. And that wraps up today's devlog. With the Goofy Goblin enemy added and the new backstep and charge up abilities, I think the game is starting to come together quite nicely. Thank you so much for sticking around and watching the video. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.